What if the simple act of a gentle touch could do more than comfort it, could literally rewire your brain and transform how your body responds to stress? Beneath the skin lies a hidden world of nerve endings and receptors, a secret network that connects us not just to the physical environment, but deeply to each other. This intimate sense of touch, often taken for granted or dismissed as fleeting, holds profound power. Consider a revealing experiment from the 1970s. Researchers observed that rats, deprived of maternal grooming, developed anxious and stressed behaviors, their bodies stuck in a heightened state of fear. Yet, when scientists introduced a single, gentle stroke with a soft brush, mimicking a mother's caress, those effects reversed. The rats calmed, their nervous systems shifted, and their behaviors transformed. How can something as subtle, as momentary, as touch alter biology so deeply and persistently? At first glance, touch seems ephemeral and intangible, passing sensation in a world that increasingly moves through screens and silence. But science uncovers a contradiction. This simple sense triggers long-lasting changes in brain circuits and hormonal pathways, shaping resilience, emotion, and even gene expression. Why, then, is touch so critical to our survival and well-being, and why have we largely overlooked its vital role in an era dominated by digital connection and physical distance? For centuries, touch was one of the most mysterious and undervalued senses. Early anatomists painstakingly mapped the skin's surface, identifying pressure points, heat sensors, and pain receptors. But it wasn't until recently that neuroscientists discovered a specialized class of nerve fibers, known as C-tactile afferent sunic neurons, finely tuned to detect gentle, slow, social touch, such as a caress or a comforting stroke. These fibers send signals not just to the parts of the brain that register physical sensation, but also to emotional centers like the insular cortex, linking touch directly to feelings of safety, bonding, and well-being. Historically, touch has played a central role in human culture, woven into rituals, ceremonies, and healing practices across societies and eras. Indigenous communities have long recognized touch as medicine, using massage, skin-to-skin contact, and ritual embraces to restore balance and health. In many traditional healing arts, touch is far more than a physical interaction. It is a vital language of connection and repair. Yet, despite this deep-rooted legacy, modern industrialized societies often neglect touch. In our fast-paced, technology world, physical contact is minimized, regulated, and sometimes even feared. This shift has profound consequences. In recent decades, social distancing, urbanization, and digital communication have dramatically reduced the frequency and quality of physical touch in daily life. Many people now live in environments where casual touch from friends, family, or even strangers is rare or absent. Could this growing touch deprivation be one hidden cause behind rising rates of anxiety, depression, and chronic inflammatory diseases? Scientific research suggests it might be. Touch is not merely a comfort. For the lonely, it fundamentally shapes mental health by reducing cortisol levels, lowering heart rate, and calming the nervous system. But its influence extends even deeper, modulating immune function and hormone regulation in ways that protect against illness. Remarkably, studies now show that touch can influence gene expression, switching on or off pathways related to inflammation and cellular repair. This intimate connection between touch, mind, and body challenges the long-standing division between mental and physical health. It reveals that human connection, sensed through skin and nerve, is as biological as blood or breath. Understanding this blurs the lines that once separated psychology from physiology and offers a new perspective on how we heal, thrive, and survive together in an increasingly disconnected world. Recent breakthroughs in neuroscience have revealed A startling truth about touch: the specialized C-tactile fibers do not primarily communicate with the brain's sensory processing centers, but instead send their signals directly to the insular cortex, a region deeply involved in emotional awareness and regulation. This means that gentle, affectionate touch operates not simply as a physical sensation, but as a profound emotional language hardwired into our nervous system. It conveys safety, connection, and comfort at a level beyond words or conscious thought. This discovery reshapes how we understand the role of touch, not as mere stimulation, but as a core component of emotional health and social bonding. The real-world consequences of touch deprivation became tragically clear during studies of Romanian orphanages in the 1980s, where many children suffered from extreme neglect and a profound lack of affectionate contact. These children exhibited stunted brain growth, reduced volumes in key emotional and cognitive centers, and lifelong difficulties regulating emotions and forming secure attachments. Their plight illuminated that touch deprivation is not simply a sad circumstance, it is a neurological crisis. The absence of nurturing touch in critical developmental windows can alter the architecture of the brain itself, setting a trajectory of vulnerability to mental illness, stress disorders, and social isolation. This leads to a complex and urgent dilemma. For adults who grew up without sufficient affectionate touch, can the brain's wiring be rewired? Can the emotional and physiological damage be reversed later in life? Early research suggests the nervous system retains some plasticity, but healing is neither easy nor guaranteed. Beyond individuals, this dilemma raises profound ethical questions about institutions like hospitals, prisons, and elder care facilities, where physical touch is often restricted or minimized due to policies, fears of liability, or cultural taboos. If touch deprivation causes real neurological harm, are we inadvertently perpetuating suffering and illness? How should healthcare and social systems respond to the invisible crisis of touch absence? These questions confront us with the limits of modern care and challenge us to reconsider how fundamental human connection is to healing and survival. Despite mounting scientific evidence underscoring the essential role of touch in human health and well-being, many societies remain caught in a paradoxical relationship with physical contact. Cultural fears about boundaries, consent, and personal space have led to widespread stigmatization of touch, especially outside of close, familial, or romantic relationships. This caution, while rooted in important protections against abuse, often fails to account for the fundamental human need for connection through touch. Striking a balance between safeguarding individual autonomy and honoring our biological imperative for physical contact presents a profound social challenge. How can societies cultivate safe, respectful environments that also allow the healing and bonding power of touch to flourish? Economic and social factors add another layer of complexity. Research reveals that individuals in lower social groups not only face greater exposure to stressors like poverty and discrimination, but also often experience less physical affection in their daily lives. This deficit of nurturing touch contributes to disparities in health outcomes, from higher rates of chronic illness to poorer mental health, suggesting that touch inequality may be a hidden public health crisis. If access to comforting physical contact is unequally distributed along socioeconomic lines, then this sensory deprivation becomes yet another mechanism by which social inequities are biologically embedded and perpetuated within the medical community. Touch occupies an ambiguous space. Practices such as massage therapy, therapeutic touch, and other bodywork modalities have demonstrated clear benefits in reducing pain, lowering stress hormones, and improving immune function. Yet these approaches are frequently dismissed as soft science or relegated to complementary and alternative medicine. This skepticism often stems from a discomfort with interventions that do not fit neatly into pharmaceutical or surgical models, despite growing evidence of their biological efficacy. Why do we undervalue a sense so deeply wired into our nervous system, one that can modulate pain and stress responses with as much potency as some medications the digital age presents? Perhaps the greatest contemporary challenge, while virtual communication has connected billions across distances, it remains fundamentally incapable of replicating the neurochemical cascade triggered by real skin-to-skin touch. Oxytocin release, cortisol reduction, and the calming activation of the parasympathetic nervous system require physical contact. As more of our interactions migrate online, there is growing concern that society may be evolving toward an emotionally disconnected future landscape where essential human needs for touch and closeness go unmet. This raises urgent questions about how we can preserve embodied connection in an increasingly virtual world, and what the long-term consequences might be if we fail to do so. Recent groundbreaking studies have unveiled a profound twist in our understanding of touch. The context in which touch occurs fundamentally shapes its biological power. When a loved one, whether a partner, parent, or close friend, places a hand on your skin, neural activity in the brain's pain processing centers can decrease by more than 30%, significantly reducing the experience of pain. Strikingly, the same touch from a stranger produces little to no such effect, highlighting that the emotional and relational context imbues touch with its transformative potency. This finding reveals that touch is not a simple sensory input, but a deeply contextual emotional signal, tightly interwoven with trust, attachment, and identity. Delving further into neuroscience, we find that touch plays a critical role in maintaining the brain's internal body map, the mental representation of where our limbs and parts exist in space. This map is essential to our sense of self and physical coherence. When touch input is lost, as in cases of amputation, the brain's body map fractures, often leading to phantom limb pain, agonizing condition where the brain perceives pain in a limb that no longer exists. This phenomenon illustrates how touch is fundamental not just to physical sensation but to the very architecture of self-awareness. Without tactile input, the brain struggles to maintain a coherent image of the body, revealing that touch is integral to our identity. Herein lies a deeper paradox. Touch is simultaneously raw sensory data and complex emotional communication. It is both the language through which the nervous system interprets the external world and the medium through which we connect with others on the most intimate level. The nervous system itself extends beyond isolated neurons, weaving through social relationships and emotional bonds. Our experience of self, health, and healing is shaped as much by the physical contacts we share as by the neurons firing within our skulls. Touch, then, is not merely a sense. It is a thread in the fabric of who we are, binding body, mind, and community into a living whole. Today, the scientific consensus is clear. Touch is essential not only for emotional regulation, but also for immune function and the brain's capacity to adapt and heal, known as neuroplasticity. Research in fields like psychoneuroimmunology has firmly established that the mind and body operate as an integrated system, with tactile experiences serving as critical conduits for communication between the two. Gentle, affectionate touch modulates stress hormones, calms the nervous system, and stimulates pathways that promote cellular repair and resilience. This unified understanding breaks down the outdated dualism that separated mental and physical health, highlighting touch as a foundational pillar of holistic well-being. In response, emerging clinical applications are transforming how touch is used in healthcare settings. Hospitals increasingly adopt skin-to-skin care practices, especially in neonatal units where holding infants close to the mother's body dramatically improves outcomes such as weight gain, temperature regulation, and emotional stability. Meanwhile, robotics and artificial intelligence research are pushing boundaries to develop therapeutic touch substitutes for patients isolated due to illness, disability, or quarantine, aiming to replicate some of the calming and healing effects of human contact. These innovations underscore touch's irreplaceable role and the urgency of finding ways to deliver it when human proximity is limited. On a societal scale, recognizing touch's profound power invites a reshaping of caregiving, education, and mental health interventions. Schools might integrate tactile therapies or encourage nurturing physical interactions to support emotional development. Caregivers and therapists could prioritize touch as a tool alongside conversation and medication. Mental health programs might focus more on restoring embodied connection as a route to healing trauma and loneliness. Such shifts acknowledge that human connection is not optional but central to thriving. Most importantly, the practical takeaways remind us that healing through touch does not require complex technology or elaborate rituals. Simple acts, holding hands, a hug between friends, mindful physical presence carry measurable physiological benefits. As society grapples with rising rates of anxiety, depression, and disconnection, relearning how to touch and be touched may be one of the most profound and accessible keys to restoring health, resilience, and meaning in modern life. Beneath the surface of your skin, countless signals flicker in quiet rhythm, a silent conversation unfolding between the outside world and the intricate web of your nervous system. Every gentle brush, every comforting press, sends waves of information that ripple through your body, weaving sensations with emotion, memory with presence. This ongoing dialogue is both deeply personal and profoundly communal, reminding us that we are never truly isolated. Perhaps our sense of self is not a fixed, solitary entity, but a living tapestry woven from the threads of touch, connection, and shared presence. It is in these moments of contact, felt but often unnoticed, that we find the essence of what it means to be human. So, if a single touch can soothe pain, calm a restless mind, and reshape the very architecture of the brain, then how might the world transform if we all remembered to truly reach out, not just with our hands, but with our hearts?